Continuing with this book, Swami Vivekananda Life and Teachings, we have reached to chapter 14, England and Europe. Swamiji, as we said, first visited England in September 1895. He was received by friends Miss Henriette Miller and Mr. E.T. Sturdy. After a few days, he began to hold a few small classes in the evening. During the day, he visited many interesting places in London. He soon became well known and his classes grew bigger and bigger. Many people went to visit him and newspaper printed reports of his lectures. The work was a great success. However, Swamiji could not stay long and he had to return to America to continue the work there. He sailed for England the second time on April 15, 1896. He was very happy when he reached London for a brother monk, Swami Shraddhanand. Was there seen any of his brother monks for several years. He was waiting for him. It was a joyful occasion. He had not seen anybody, and they had much to talk about. Swami also had many plans for the work in India, which he told to Swami Siddhanand. Swamiji again began to hold classes and give lectures about Vedanta. His work was even more successful than before, and he had to go to many places to give talks. One thing I enjoyed very much was to visit Professor Max Muller. The professor was teaching at Oxford University. He was a great student of India, Hinduism, and Sanskrit learning. They had a long conversation. Swamiji and Professor Max Muller became fast friends and often wrote letters to each other. The professor had already written an article about Sri Ramakrishna and he asked Swamiji for more information. Swamiji asked Swami Shraddhanand to help Professor Muller. Material was sent from India, and as a result, Professor Max Muller wrote a book about Sri Ramakrishna. It was a very good book and it helped Swami Vivekananda in his work. Swami Vivekananda made many of other friends and disciples in England. The best known of these was Miss Margaret Noble, who later became famous as Sister Nivedita. Two other faithful disciples were Mr. and Mrs. Sevier. They returned to India with Swamiji and were very helpful to him in his work there. After some time, three of Swamiji's friends invited him to go on a tour of Europe, and he was glad to accept this invitation. They went to Switzerland, where Swamiji was very happy to see the mountains and snow peaks of the Alps. The scenery was beautiful. He stayed for 2 weeks in a small village and enjoyed the beauty, peace, and silence. He became again the silent, meditating monk of his earlier days. His health also improved. He often went on walks. Once he nearly had an accident. He was walking on a mountain path with his friends. He had been reciting passages from the Upanishads and had become absorbed in spiritual thoughts. He fell behind the others and did not pay much attention to where he was going. As there was snow, he carried a stick and planted it firmly on the ground at every step. Suddenly, the stick broke through the stone and ice, and a deep creeve appeared just in front of him. Nearly fell into it, but somehow kept his balance. He walked rapidly up to his friends and called out, "I have been saved by the grace of the Lord." His friends were very careful not to let Swamiji walk alone after that. Swamiji then visited Germany, where he enjoyed meeting Professor Paul Deussen, a great German Sanskrit scholar. They had long conversations and visited many places together. Professor Dawson also joined the party when Swamiji returned to London. Swamiji again plunged into work, meeting people and giving lectures. He went Swami Shraddhanand to carry on the work in America. He also sent for Swami Abhedananda to come to England from India. Swami Abhedananda came best of his disciples. he again began to give public lectures. Swamiji was very happy at their success. So this was it. This was so interesting chapter, I guess. Yeah, we'll be reaching to chapter 15 tomorrow. So thank you.